Hi everybody, this is Diane and I have another Christmas journal listed in my shop. This one is called The Story of Christmas and it is a nativity or religious theme, the real story of Christmas. It is made with a vintage children's book from the Whitman Big Telltale series, and this one is dated 1965. I have it tied with a golden yellow seam binding. On the cover, it had a little 29-cent price right here. That's how much it cost in 1965. But I covered that with this piece of gold ribbon and a little piece of vintage crochet. I put corners, metal corners on 4 corners because it's an old book and so the corners were a bit soft. And I put this fabric, this striped fabric, on the spine and decorated it with a gold metallic rickrack. So pretty. You will see gold elements throughout the book. The illustrations of the book are really neat. They're from 1965, so they have this kind of a strange vibe. Very bold and kind of indistinct art. And it's kind of dark. Most of the pages are kind of dark. So I brightened it up by adding gold all throughout the book. And I glued this beautiful gold trim that I had received from someone, probably Eve, but I'm not positive about that. But it's a beautiful addition to the spine. There are 3 signatures. All of the story is contained in this book, but it's all of the pages of the storybook are in the second signature. So this is the end paper. Has the shepherds looking at the star, and on the other end is, I suppose that's Bethlehem and the meadow or the road to Bethlehem. So let's see what else we can find in this journal. On the front signature, on the front of each signature, I used a Mrs. Coggs image and I stitched it to a piece of gold foil that someone sent me, and they're supposed to be chocolate wrappers. And so they were unused little 6x6 sheets of chocolate wrappers. So I used quite a bit of that, and that gave me a lot of gold. And I did use this gold-colored gimp trim on the inside. I also put this white eyelet type of lace on the front of each of the signatures. And I used some of the Mrs. Coggs Christmas words from her set. And I will link, I'm going to sneeze. Sorry. I'm going to link Mrs. Coggs' shop in the description of this video so you can look for it. There might be, I printed these last year and I still had some left, so I didn't print anything new except for these because I just got these this year. But the images are from last year, and I believe that they're called Nativity, and I don't know if there was more than one set. Oh, Choir, Angels and Choirs, and the Nativity, I think, were the 2 sets that I used last year. So you can look for those sets in her shop. So here's an angel, and I used the word, "Hark the herald angels sing." And then I made a little pocket here, and it's decorated with some lace and some more gold rickrack. This is a narrower rickrack than what I used on the front, and a Christmas stamp from 1974 from Granada. This is an image from Mrs. Coggs, and I just put it on cream-colored cardstock, and I put some gold paint around the edges of this and this. And there's some lace here, and you can journal on the back or add a photo or something. So here's a music sheet of Silent Night. This is from a craft book, and it has a cross-stitch nativity. You could add photos here or whatever memorabilia you'd like. There's a fabric flip. There's some more of that cross-stitch nativity. This is from a Christmas record book where you would keep track of things. So there's lines to write. The prompt is Christmas Eve, so if you wanted to write about your Christmas Eve there, you could do that. I just added a little bit of lace there to embellish it. There's a red paper doily. This is from a book from, I believe this was from 1966, and it was a book of stained glass papers. Obviously not stained glass, but you were supposed to rub oil on the papers to make them translucent, and then color them with just regular crayons, and then put them in the window, and they would look like stained glass. But it was a holy scene. It had this whole big scene you would assemble from all of the pages, and had angels and the wise men and shepherds and the Holy Family. So I used several pages of that in here. There's another Mrs. Coggs Christmas word. It says good tidings. And I did a lot of collaging with paper doilies. This one's coffee dyed. There's a piece of fabric and one of the narrow gold rickrack pieces. Did some stenciling. Coffee dyed paper here. This is from a sheet of computer paper with a pretty angel and a dove on it. A vintage Christmas card, and I glued, this is one that would open up, so I glued it shut here. And then this is from another Christmas card, which I glued to ivory cardstock and added a lace tab, and it fits right in there. It came upon the midnight clear, and there's a story about we three kings. Just a piece of scrapbook cardstock. I'm going to glue this shut. Someone had given me some vellum stickers, so this is one of them. It says, "Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace, goodwill toward men." I love the way it just curves. This is another sheet from that stained glass paper book, and then inside I made a card. I stamped this stamp on it from Hero, I think it's Hero Arts, yeah. It's Silent Night. So I stamped that on it, and then I used some more of those vellum stickers with some angels, some stars, and joy to the world. And like I said, I will glue that shut to make a pocket. And there's some of the wise men right there. I stenciled, I did a video stenciling the stars with some metallic ink. Can you see the shimmer? And this is the other piece of the page that talks about the wise men, and I sewed on a piece of the poinsettia handkerchief that I had used in the fabric journal that I made. I just love the way that looks there on the corner. Here's the other side of the Christmas card, and I again glued that shut and tucked in this piece. Mrs. Coggs' image, probably that one is from Choirs and Angels. Again on ivory cardstock with a collage. This is a little piece of that foil candy wrapper, some mulberry paper and some paper doily, and the gold paint and some lace and gold ribbon. This is the other half of that computer paper with the angel on it. Here's another Christmas card that I trimmed down to fit. And then I used a scrap of the pattern paper and a piece of the parchment Christmas card. This one, no, it's a similar one that was made out of parchment. Anyway, I used a piece of that paper from that card. You can see through it and still see the pattern of the paper behind it. There's some doily and another image from Mrs. Cox. Some of the yellow seam binding there. And then on the back of this signature, I made a pocket out of vellum. It was just a plain vellum, and I cut it in a curve, and I rubbed some gold paint on it and then kind of wiped it around with a baby wipe and smeared the color. It's quite shimmery. I don't know if it shows up on camera, but it sure does here. And an image of the three wise men worshiping Jesus, and they're stitched to a piece of the gold foil. And then up here it says frankincense, myrrh, and gold. And this is a piece of a Christmas card glued to some cardstock. Second signature has a choir singing Joy to the World. And I love this paper. And this is a real pretty back to that paper with starbursts on it. A scrap of scrapbook paper with some music and some red and gold ribbon and a stamp with a, I think it's mistletoe, looks like mistletoe, and a cardinal. And then you get a vintage Christmas card in here depicting the first Christmas. It's unused, but it's pretty old. It does not have a date on it. This space for communication. Address only. Place stamp here. Domestic 1 cent. Foreign 2 cents. And then, like I said, in this signature we get the whole story. I did put some other things in between. And I forgot to erase my numbers. I numbered the pages to make sure they would get put in the right order. This is illustrated by Michael Lowen something. I cut off part of his name. And it is 1965. There's a fabric flip. Another piece of the stained glass paper. And on this page, just to add a little more color, I added a red velvet ribbon and a white satin ribbon down the center of it. There's a vintage greeting card there. Christmas card. This is something that I had made last year. I stamped it and I had colored it with, I don't know, probably distress inks or something. I don't remember. I watercolored it with something and then stamped on it and cut it out. And I just stapled it on there as a little tuck spot and added this little tag in there. A pretty gold doily. And this music is Oh Holy Night. That should be the last of the numbers because there were 7 folio sheets of paper in here. I got that. And in here we have another envelope that I have to glue shut, and another of the cards that I made with my stamp and my vellum stickers. Do not be afraid, for behold, I bring you good news of a great joy, which shall be for all people. Can you just hear Linus saying that? I love that. It's my favorite part of that Charlie Brown Christmas special. The pretty angels on that one. I do like these illustrations. It's just something different. Last year I made one out of the Golden Book, The Story of Christmas, or The Christmas Story, I think it's called, and that one's illustrated by Eloise Wilkin. And this one is quite different from her style. So it was fun doing something with something different. Peace on earth. It says right here, glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace, goodwill toward men. So I added peace on earth there. Back of the Christmas card. Some white seam binding. And I think this is Mary and Joseph and baby Jesus, and I liked the way this envelope kind of brightened the look of the page. I used this blue, this blue sack, added some doily and the gold foil and a little piece of lace, and this beautiful image from Mrs. Coggs of Mary holding her baby very similar to that. And then for the tag inside, I have this tag that I had in my stash, and I think I made this with my Cricut, the 2 holes in it. So I just tied this white and gold baker's twine in it. This is a little scrap of that Starburst scrapbook paper, and this is an angel that I had stamped and painted with my Twinkling H2Os last year. So I cut her out and glued her on here. I like the way she looked with that Starburst behind her. So I really like the way this looks on this page. And then on the back, yeah, this is the back page of this signature. I have this gold vintage card, Christ is Born. And the cards are used. They have signatures in them. And there's a scrap of paper here used as the tuck spot, and again some doily and mulberry paper, and a Mrs. Coggs image backed with the gold foil. And on the back, there's no pocket or anything, it's just a decoration. White doily, coffee dyed doily, and another Mrs. Coggs image with the gold foil. And then the third signature has this image from Mrs. Coggs, gold foil again, and it says Silent Night. And another vintage card. This is the parchment I was talking about. I cut one of these cards apart, which I think you'll see in this signature maybe, and I used this piece, just glued it down for a journaling spot because I love that parchment. And again, a scrapbook paper here, and this is a scrap of the plaid paper, and I punched a border punch with it. Punched it with a border punch. Gold rickrack and another Christmas stamp. Let me see if I can see a year on that. 1998. This came from a Christmas Carol book, and it's a picture of the wise men. And the story of the song, Angels We Have Heard on High, I think. There's that plaid paper that's so pretty, and I added this fabric flip. This is a piece of a vintage tablecloth, vintage lace, and a piece of kind of a velvety fabric. There's one of the vellum stickers. It says Glory to the Newborn King on the stars, stamped with metallic ink. There's a piece of gold and maroon wrapping paper here. And I did quite a bit of collaging on it. The tablecloth, the ribbon, the lace. This is a piece of the candy foil, and I kind of crumpled it up so you could see the silver parts of it too. And then this is a sticker with silver around it that came in the mail with some address labels one year. There was a little tear in this doily, so I added this image that I had stamped and painted last year. I got to use up a lot of elements that I had left over. I didn't make very many new ephemera pieces or print very much new stuff or buy anything. I had so much Christmas stuff. Either it was left from last year, or I had collected it through the year, like some of the books I had collected, and this paper. And here's another collage. It says Joy and Hope. Another computer paper. And there's another Christmas card. This one has the shepherds, and I glued this printable. This might have been from Tsunami Rose. Just has a little piece of lace and a little piece of seam binding you can write on the back. And this song is Away in a Manger. And here I used one of my stamps. It's Mary and the Baby, and it's embossed with gold embossing powder. And on this side it says, Unto us this day a child is born. It's a subtle effect doing the gold on this craft. And then the last stained glass envelope with another card. For unto us is born this day in the city of David a Savior, which is Christ the Lord. I didn't even realize that this matched that. So this page has Mary on it. You'll see her on the back of the envelope. Oh, there's her face right there. And then the back of the last greeting card that I used as a pocket. And this one has a little page from a little Whitman Telltale book that had Christmas songs in it. So this one has We Three Kings of Orient are, and on the back is the first Noel. And I just put a paper to journal on here with a tab and another of the stamps, the stickers that came in the mail. This is the one that vellum piece came off of. I love this card. I love the art on that. And it does have gold in it. I didn't add that. It's there. It's so pretty. I'm not sure what year this is, but I would venture to guess the 60s. And here's a piece that came off of this card, another piece of parchment, and you can see through it. And at the bottom it says, and she shall bring forth the son, and thou shalt call his name Jesus. And there's a piece of lace at the top. I really like how this book came out. I loved all the elements. And it was not overwhelming for me because I just pulled out all of the elements that would go into a nativity themed book, and that eliminated all of the Santas and snowmen and trees and all the other stuff, and so I could just concentrate on these things. And so this book was not overwhelming, and it was very enjoyable for me to put together. There's a red seam binding there and a red doily and the wrapping paper, and this one has coffee dyed paper, a piece of the foil, and this is a slide mount that I had painted with the gold paint and stamped on it. And I put this Christmas stamp behind it and wrapped some green twine around it and added this little sticker. And here's a piece of the parchment from one of the Christmas cards, a printable label from Roxy Creations, some mulberry paper, the foil, and a piece of doily. And then on the last page I made a triple pocket, and it has the starburst on it, and I included this series of stamps that are painted with twinkling H2Os. And that is it. So I hope that you like this journal. I really enjoyed making it, and I will have it listed in my shop when this video gets published, whatever day that happens to be. It might be Wednesday, because I have some other videos already scheduled to be published for the next few days. So I think this will be Wednesday, but you'll see whenever this video goes up, this will be in the shop. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again very, very soon. Bye-bye.